The story of Pope Leo XIV begins, long before his name was ever known to the world. It begins in a quiet home in Dalton, Illinois, where two devoted Catholics, Louis Prevost and Mildred Agnes Martinez Prevost, built a life centered on faith, family, and service. Their marriage was a union shaped by love and strengthened by prayer. Coming from different cultural backgrounds, they shared a deep belief in Christ, and in the quiet power of living out their faith, through everyday commitment. They raised their children in a home where the gospel wasn't just spoken, it was lived. In 1955, their youngest son, Robert Francis Prevost, was born. From the beginning, his siblings noticed something unique about him. He was a gentle child, thoughtful, observant, and deeply drawn to prayer. They remember how he would imitate the gestures of the priest at Mass, or spend long moments in silence, watching the crucifix on the wall. Even as a boy, there was a calm depth to him, a natural sense of reverence, that quietly set him apart. Though no one could have imagined it then, the foundation Louis and Mildred laid, through their steady example, their love for the Church and their trust in God, would guide Robert toward a path of service, leadership, and eventually the papacy. In many ways, his vocation was not only his own. It was the fruit of the lives his parents lived, marked by humility, hard work, and deep devotion to Christ. Louis Prevost was born on July 28, 1920, in Chicago, Illinois. His father, Salvatore Giovanni Gaetano Rigitano, had emigrated from Milazzo, Sicily in 1903, seeking a better life in America. Over time, Salvatore changed his name to John R. Prevost, a decision many immigrants made to adapt more easily to American life. Louis's mother, Suzanne Fontaine, was born in Le Havre, France, bringing a blend of European cultures into the family. Louis grew up in Hyde Park, a neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, in a family that valued education, discipline, and faith. World War II service. Louis was commissioned as an ensign in 1943, following intensive naval officer training. He was assigned as the executive officer of a landing ship tank, LST, a type of naval vessel designed to land tanks, vehicles, cargo, and troops directly onto shore without docks or piers. These ships were crucial to the Allied invasion efforts in Europe, and Louis's service placed him in the middle of some of the most critical operations of the war. Louis participated in the invasion of Omaha Beach, one of the most dangerous landings of the day. LSTs faced relentless German fire as they delivered vital equipment and troops onto the heavily fortified beaches of France. The work was perilous, chaotic, and essential to the Allied victory. His calm leadership as executive officer helped maintain order amid the noise and terror of war. After Normandy, Louis's ship took part in the Allied landings in southern France, a lesser-known but strategically important campaign that helped liberate the region from Nazi occupation. This second amphibious landing helped to pressure German forces from another direction, and marked another courageous chapter in Louis's military service. Life aboard the ship. Officers and crew lived in close quarters with very little privacy or space. Long hours, constant alerts, and the ever-present threat of enemy submarines or mines created a high-stress environment. Yet Louis carried out his duties with composure and integrity. He served for 15 months in active combat zones, seeing firsthand the cost of war. He kept journals, wrote letters home, and occasionally led his fellow sailors in prayer. It was during these intense months that Louis's personal faith deepened, a quiet trust in God that would later shape his family life and leadership in education. Post-war return. After his honorable discharge, Louis returned to Chicago with a sense of purpose, but also humility. He rarely spoke in detail about the war. Those who knew him said, he bore the experience with dignity, never seeking praise but always valuing discipline, order, and service. These were values he brought into his civilian life, as an educator, school administrator, and father. In the late 1940s, Louis met Mildred Agnes Martinez, a woman of depth, education, and strong Catholic faith. Born on December 30, 1911 in Chicago, Mildred was 8 years older than Louis, a fact that did not hinder their love. Her roots traced back to Creole New Orleans, a vibrant and historically Black community, rich in faith and culture. Her grandparents were identified as Black residents in the U.S. Census, and her ancestry added a unique cultural richness to the family lineage. Mildred was also a scholar in her own right. She earned her bachelor's degree in library science from DePaul University in 1947, and went on to complete her master's degree in education by 1949, the same year Louis finished his degree. On January 25, 1949, Louis and Mildred were married, beginning a lifelong journey of love and shared vocation. They moved into a modest 1,200-square-foot brick house on East 141st Place in Dalton, Illinois, a suburb of Chicago, where they would raise their children and become pillars of their community. Though from different cultural backgrounds, Louis, the son of Sicilian and French immigrants, and Mildred, a Creole Catholic woman of African-American heritage, their shared Catholic faith, commitment to education and love for service united them deeply. Mildred worked as a librarian at various institutions, including Holy Name Cathedral, Von Steuben High School and Mendel High School. She was known for her gentle spirit, disciplined work ethic and strong religious devotion. She was active in the Altar and Rosary Society, sang in the church choir, and was a daily communicant, regularly attending Mass. The couple raised 3 sons: John Joseph Prevost, Louis Martin Prevost, Robert Francis Prevost, born in 1955, who would one day be known to the world as Pope Leo XIV. Their home life was devout and community-centered. The family never missed Sunday Mass, and the boys were raised with a deep respect for faith, education, and service to others. Neighbors described them as warm, devout, and generous, known in the parish and respected in the school system. Mildred passed away on June 18, 1990 at the age of 78, leaving behind a legacy of quiet strength and unwavering faith. Louis continued to live in Chicago until his death on November 8, 1997, at the age of 77. Their graves lie side by side, their story etched not only in stone, but now in history. Their youngest son, Robert, would eventually enter the priesthood, serve as a missionary bishop in Peru, and then rise through the church's hierarchy to become Pope Leo XIV, the first American-born pope, elected on May 8, 2025. The story of Louis and Mildred Prevost is a beautiful mosaic of faith, service, education, and cultural harmony. From the battlefields of Europe to the classrooms of Illinois, from the quiet prayers of a librarian to the unwavering leadership of a school superintendent, their lives were filled with purpose. Their legacy now continues at the highest seat of the Church, proof that holiness and greatness often begin in small homes, through ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The installation of a pope, also called the Papal Inauguration Mass, is the ceremonial beginning of a pope's ministry as Bishop of Rome and leader of the worldwide Catholic Church. While older traditions once included a papal coronation with the papal tiara, modern popes, starting with Pope John Paul I in 1978, have opted for a simpler, more pastoral inauguration mass instead of a coronation. Key elements of a modern papal installation. Profession of faith. The new pope prays at the tomb of St. Peter and professes the Nicene Creed. Imposition of the pallium, a woolen band worn over the shoulders, symbolizing the pope's role as a shepherd. Conferral of the fisherman's ring. The ring bears the image of St. Peter and symbolizes the pope's authority. For Pope Leo XIV, this happened on May 18, 2025. Mass of inauguration, celebrated with cardinals, bishops, and delegations from around the world. Urbi et Orbi blessing. The Pope gives his first public blessing to the city and the world. On the morning of May 18, 2025, the bells of St. Peter's Basilica rang out in joy, heralding the dawn of a new papacy. Inside the majestic basilica, the world witnessed a sacred and historic moment. The installation of Pope Leo XIV, born Robert Francis Prevost, the first American pope to take the name of Leo. At the heart of the ceremony was the conferral of the fisherman's ring, a golden seal engraved with the image of St. Peter casting his net, a symbol of the pope's authority as the successor of Peter, called to gather souls into the net of Christ's mercy. As the ring was gently placed upon his finger, the world saw a pontiff crowned not with a tiara, but with humility. Yet beneath the solemnity and grandeur stood a man formed not in palaces, but in a faithful American home, by a father, Louis Prevost, who served his country in the Navy, and guided his children with quiet strength, and a mother, Mildred, whose voice once rose with devotion in the humble notes of Ave Maria. This was not the rise of a prince, but the fruit of 2 faithful hearts who lived for Christ and passed their love to their son. Among the notable moments that day, Pope Leo XIV's homily emphasized healing wounds in the Church and in the world, calling for unity through truth and peace through justice. A group of pilgrims from Dalton, Illinois, his hometown, were seated with honor, visibly moved to see one of their own ascend to the chair of Peter. The Pope chose a simpler pallium and greeted several marginalized and disabled individuals in the square, before the ceremony, a gesture that echoed his long ministry among the forgotten. As the Mass concluded, the new Pope turned toward the statue of St. Peter, raising his hand in a final blessing. With the ring now shining on his finger, he stepped forward, not as a ruler but as a servant. He is the fisherman's successor, but also the son of Louis and Mildred, a man born not of power but of love, prayer and providence. A pope raised by faith, crowned by grace, and sent forth to shepherd the flock of God. Thank you so much for watching. If this story inspired you or touched your heart, please leave a like, share it with others and subscribe to our channel for more stories of faith, hope and truth. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss an update. May God bless you and keep you always in His love. See you in the next video.